Okay. Um, let's see a little bit. So, where do I start? I gotta be fast. Try to get as much as I can in the 10 minutes that this allows. So, go back to the beginning real quick. Um, Back in 2020, um, I would say July ish. Um, I was pretty sick, and we had my son Aiden with us, and Shanton was she's starting to kind of change as a person. She wants the limelight, you know, uh, and I've always been pretty charismatic my whole life. Um, Kind of reminds me of my son Asher. It's really funny. But you know, I was drinking a lot at the time, and I had to quit for my health, and I wasn't getting the support from her. And as soon as I decided to slow down at the bar and start being at home with the kids a little bit more again, like I was, because I was a stay-at-home father um, for the first 4 years of all of my kids' lives. I had all three of them at one point by myself for days, and Shannon went right back to work, no problem. She just had the babies and left. Um, Went to work, stayed late extra, lied about, um, you know, how I treated her to people, and you know, it's mostly just because people liked me in general. I guess I'm not sure exactly why. I don't know, and it's not really important. Um, but what I will, kind of move along to is July 2020. It was a series of events where she had manipulated the police into thinking that I was being violent with her, um, and that was not the case at all. Um, you know, um, she was already at like wit's end with with her mother, and she blamed that situation on me. Said that I slept with her mother, all kinds of shit. Um, it was not true. A lot of stuff that she conjured up in her brain that she was telling people um, wasn't true. Um, and I'll attest to that. I'll swear by it. Um, I definitely didn't sleep with her mother. That's for sure. Jeez. At that point, my libido had been gone. Um, and that's another thing that comes with liver failure and the situation I've been in is I have no libido. I don't even think about sex anymore, and I haven't had sex in years. Um, and that's a fact. So she got me to the point to where they were changing accounts and stuff behind my back. They weren't telling me anything, and always the good policy is to just be honest. Be honest with me, and I would have handled it. I wasn't drinking. I was still sick. It was like the brink of COVID. Um, you know, they shut down schools like that following year. You know, but at that point in time, I was working days and days, and I mean, I was working nonstop. I mean, she barely lifted a finger when it came to the restaurant. Um, put my heart and soul into that place, and I was pretty proud of it. You know, I gave her the I mean, I didn't give her anything. She took my recipes, and I designed the logo. I mean, I pushed the place and advertised, and I worked really hard, and she never showed any appreciation for it. I mean, she's kind of always been empty, you know. But God forbid I did anything, you know, out of the norm that bothered her or set her off her path. Because you know, at this point, I decided I was just okay. I'm gonna go. I was gonna take Aiden and we were gonna go camping, and we went camping. As soon as I walked out that door, you know, um, everything changed. She had already had it set up to have the locks changed on the house. The PO box changed. Um, my, I guess she didn't. She left the address the same. Left the bills in my name for the restaurant and for the house. I expected. I mean, I still owe on that. She pulled her number off of my cell phone account, which I don't know how was possible. I I was the owner of the account, and they had to get permission from me, and I fought over it. But this was before I was even out. You know, they were changing passwords to my email accounts that I created, um, trying to get my Facebook pages that I had created, um, and then you know it wasn't good. You know, it really bothered me. But you know, later on, I found out. I'll just go to. We went camping. I wrote a novel about it, and it was. I was sad. I was devastated. You know, like I knew things were kind of. I knew things were kind of leading towards that, but she kept me around for some reason. I'm not sure exactly why, but she. I know she had made up a lot of stories that were just not true. And I mean, she separated me from my family and everybody at this point, and I had my son. It was just me. So when we came back, after our couple days, 4 days of camping, Aiden had a great time, and I miss him a lot. Um, but um, you know, I thought things might have calmed down a little bit. You know, um, everything had been like wiped out. My bank accounts were all flipped upside down. My credit cards were all burnt up. Um, you know, she still ran. She was using my credit. You know, I invested purely. I invested thousands of dollars of my own money into the restaurant. But not just that, thousands of hours of time to where I mean I was working so long and so late that I mean I was falling asleep in the bar. She was getting upset. It was like, well, I can't drive. I'm too tired, you know. And she didn't get. She just didn't care. She wanted something to fight about. I know that. Um, and I'm pretty good with recalling things, and she'll knock it down either way, and say no, that didn't happen that way. But she's a liar. That plain and simple. Um, I found out later on that that night that I'd left, they had a huge party. Um, the my friend who was the nanny, and the nanny was actually my head chef's um, wife. She loved the kids, and she spent a lot of time with them, and she did it for pretty much nothing, you know. Um, she's awesome. They stayed my friends throughout the process of it, but she had told me that she had Fry over, and she was already sleeping with Fry, and which is the guy who took over my position at the bar at the restaurant, pretty much. And told her that that next morning, you know, when Fry came out of the bedroom after they were had a drunken rampage with my kids still in the house, that I mean, I heard, uh, so I found out another time after that that she was going out to Smith River, and they were sleeping together there, which is just, I mean, that sent me over the edge. That was really bad. Um, Not only was I heartbroken, but I mean, she dug the knife in pretty good. Um, you know, that morning the nanny was not happy about the situation because You know, she knows she was there for everything. She saw the way I was being treated, you know, and she also quit that day. Um, but she said that um, she asked Jensen, so what are you going to do if he tries to go for custody of the kids? And it's like, he won't. And then it was the fact that, well, what are you going to do then? He's like, I'm just going to use the kids as pawns. And that was the rebuttal to that question. And that is what had her quit. And she had told me later about that. And later on, I had thought about it over the years. Um, you know, all the times I questioned, um, you know, I went around and I asked a few people, I talked to a few people about situations that had happened, and it's like no hard feelings, you know, or anything like that. But and they had admitted to it, you know, back to even when we first met. You know, she was lying about it, and she was sleeping with both of our bosses, or one of them at least. It was just gross, and got me fired there, and she got fired for I don't know whatever. I guess she was cheating on me left and right. That's just what she was doing, and then making it like I was the bad guy. And over a period of time, I'm like, what is wrong with this person? Like, what could I have done to this person that they would have done this to me like this? You know, why drag it on? Like, she told her mother that it had been done 7 years prior. We have a 7-year-old. I mean, we had a 4 and a 5-year-old at the time. You know, and the kids didn't know anything that was going on, but I spent a lot of time with them. I mean, I was all they knew, and you know, I mean, she just went straight to another guy the next day, and it broke my heart. Not only did I lose my restaurant, my home, you know, my family, but it was yeah, I kind of lost myself there a little bit, you know, and you know, we bickered back and forth, and I started drinking again. I started working at the competing bar across the street, and this, that, and the other. And it was, I, I had nowhere to go. I wasn't going to leave. I wasn't going to go anywhere. It's where my kids were. And I went, she slapped me with the paperwork for the custody arrangement right away and got me all confused. Took my copy of the custody paperwork and then made multiple copies of it. So, I mean, at one point, I had the, um, uh, 4 copies of the freaking, um, custody arrangement, you know? And, whatever one got submitted, I wasn't there in court because I had the kids. And she made sure I had the kids. I mean, I got served right when I was on the phone with her. Come to think about it now, that's funny. I was on the phone with her. I was just texting her, so she knew where I was at that point in time. And that's another thing. Later on, I had found out that she had basically taken over my Apple account. Um, and I got deep in there, and I was on my old Chromebook, old not Chromebook, on my old computer. It was my old Apple iMac thing, whatever. And I didn't really use it that much, but I mean, I liked it. And then I started using it for recording and stuff. And then I started learning about it, going deeper and deeper into the time capsule. And there she was, I mean, in my system. So that means she had access to everything that I'd ever said, spoke about, talked about. She knew my location, all that stuff. And I didn't know that at the time. I also didn't know that Gmail and all that stuff tracked your location, and how deep Gmail went, or Google in general. I had no idea. I didn't find that out until a couple of years later. You know, I knew there's some settings in there, but I mean, we were so like intertwined in each other's lives that our accounts, I mean, everything was our accounts. You know, it was all ours. to put together. So I mean, anything at that point, trying to fix anything, she kept it that way because she knew exactly what she was doing. Um, and she loves this stuff. I don't know what it is. I mean, she just it's like vengeful. It's I mean, she snickers about things that she shouldn't. She has no feelings towards anybody but herself. I mean, she could honestly care less about our children. I mean, really, because when I got here, this I'll get to that later. Um, I'm calm about saying this now because I've been living it for a while now. Got to the point to where, um, you know, we have been on good terms. Um, and then I got put on antidepressants and stuff like that, which kind of is just like whatever, you know. So she'd offered to take Aiden on a little trip, and then so I don't know how she knew I was gonna say yes to going, but I went too. Um, and took me to all up and down the coast to a couple places I haven't been before. I mean, we went to Seaside, and then we ended up in I guess we went to Prineville. I think that was that time. I'm not sure. Or she was talking about opening up another place. Um, like it was okay. Like I was like, open up another Krabby's, the name that I came up with. You know, like with my recipes and taking it there. That's nice. Uh, you know, realistically, come to think about it now, it was just a business to burn. You know, it was just to burn it and turn it. Um, so what I found out later is that this house that I'm in now, that I'm back in, um, she had flooded it. Um, she said it, I guess, whatever the case was, is she was drunk and she fell asleep and she left the bathtub running. Um, and then, you know, other people told me different. The contractors told me different that she had flooded it on purpose, which makes sense, because she likes collecting on those type of funds, and she has multiple times. I thought back to when we first met. She told me that her house flooded then. I'm like, the Vegas house flooded once before. See, what did you collect all on that too? So I guess she collected on that too. But I'm not sure what had gone on in her past or whatever. At that point, I was just like, what the fuck is going on here? So, me doing my due diligence, I wanted them to make sure I was pulling background checks on the people that were around my kids, because that's how serious I am about keeping my kids safe. Um, and you know, I get to hers and I start looking at just like there's some weird shit in there. You know, multiple DUIs that she had gotten out of, and yada yada. And then she was taking trips, um, and I was staying with the kids, um, at the house, which I don't even know why I did it, but um, I started noticing things with my phones. No matter what phone I had, there was something inside of it. There's something there. I mean, something was getting changed. Something was getting done. It was just, you know, it made no sense. I mean, I couldn't figure it out. I opened up one of my old Yahoo accounts that I had been locked out of for a long time. I just couldn't figure out, you know, how to get into it. And then Yahoo came up with this deal to where you could pay for pay for it and then use your information to get back into the account. You know, mother's maiden name, la da, that type of shit. So I did. I did that. And then when I opened up that account, it was like fucking Pandora's box, man. It's like freaking the monster that was laying to wait in that fucking email account fucking took over everything. And that's when I found out that, around the same time I found out she was in my accounts, and I thought I had that handled, but I should have known better. Um, my general consensus was from the very beginning that the type of hacking and the type of stuff that was going on with my accounts was tremendous. I mean, pure like government style, back door, front door hacking. I mean, they didn't need to force anything. It would just open up for them, and it's smart. It's a runaround game. You're messing with one thing while front door opens without permission, and then you're trying to shut the front door, and then the back door's slowly opening in the back, and that's what lets them in. And then by the time you get to the back door, they're already in. And it's impossible to get them out. Um, so I kind of drifted away from that because I had some problems going on then, and you know uh, I was a mess no matter what the case was, and it drove me to do things that I didn't want to do. I had nothing to lose at that point, and this was very early on in the time continuum that I had going on. But from that point on, with the antidepressants and the doctors and stuff like that, um, I could tell that something was out to get me, no matter what the case was. And the reality is my eyes were open to the reality of life in general, and the things that can happen, and the things that are happening around us that people just walk by. They're not thinking about them. I mean, it's like zombies. It's unintentional blindness. Like somebody walking around with their phone, and then, they run into a pole. You know. But she needed somebody to watch the kids, and I was in between jobs. I wasn't getting any hours where I was at, and I just needed to make a payment. So I was coming over, clean the house and vacuum, and everybody that I was talking to was laughing at me. But on the other end, it was I was doing it for my kids. I wasn't doing it for her. I got to spend extra time with them, and that was the point. But when she left, um, I came to find out that she was going on these Tinder escapades and just sleeping with whoever the fuck she wanted, doing whatever, blah blah blah, and it was gross. I mean, it really made me sick. Really, it honestly still. I mean, I'm so over it. Like I wouldn't even, not even with the red man's dick over the red bird's dick over here. I wouldn't. So I just pedaled through it, and I was still trying to work things out. And at that point in time, we were in between, and we were sleeping with each other periodically. But I wasn't sleeping with anybody else. The whole fact of the matter is we were still sleeping next to each other and all that stuff, and she was just so nonchalant about it. It was just like a casual thing to her. Like she just whatever, didn't matter. Whatever the kid, it didn't matter to her. She'd just come and sleep next to me, and that just made me think. It was like, damn, she'd been doing this shit for a long time to me. I mean, 10, 11 years. Shit's serious. And I fell for it, but I was so drunk all the time. I mean, she was throwing alcohol at me, and there's just so many other things that are involved with this situation that I just don't understand the manipulation behind it. It does go far, but I'm not sure if it was intentional at first. But when I first met her father, he looked at me and was like, boyfriend, another boyfriend. He's like, you mean your friend, right? And that shit always like stuck with me for a while. We were at his wedding, and that shit stuck with me. My first time I watched it, and I was just like, whatever, you know. God. So fucking hell. Um, she was going back and forth to Prineville, where she had opened up another restaurant that was named Krabby's, and with my recipes, and I was pissed, but I'm I was also like, it's feeding my kids, you know. Never be that mad. And then I found out that there was some other guy watching my kids and stuff during the time that she was out there staying in the hotel room. And you know, I guess this was very early on in all this. And then I go back to towards the end of this situation is they were painting the house and they were doing demolition on it, and they were doing a shitty job. And because of the paint fumes, we had got my boys and I had gotten a hotel room at Salmon Harbor Landing in Winchester Bay, um, and we stayed there for 2 nights. And I mean, I didn't purchase the room. She purchased the room in advance, and it was one of those deals to where it's like as soon as I got there, you know, it was all like, well, Shanton was just here. I mean, she just left not too long ago. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, well, her car was just here. I'm like, yeah, right, dude. No. Um, because like earlier on that the previous day, she had called me while she was getting into Prineville, and she was on the phone with me, and then all of a sudden, she said she's getting pulled over, and I'm like, well, this is not good. She's like, okay. So then I didn't hear from her, and then all of a sudden I found out she had gotten a DUI or driving while intoxicated, whatever, DII, whatever it was. She had alcohol in the car and all this other shit. I had the boys, and I was like, shit. Well, that's why I was confused about people telling me she had just been at the hotel room. What do you mean she's just been at the hotel room? It doesn't make any sense. I'm at the hotel. She bought the room, but come to find out later that she bought the room, but she had bought the room with my card somehow, and I don't understand how that could have happened. Like I look at my reports, I'm like, whoa, there, oh, there it is. You know, there's the payment for that deal, and it's like, well, I didn't call to issue that payment. It was a $60. But then on our other credit cards that my credit cards that were open and I still didn't know, you could tell back when we were, when she was, I guess, I'm not sure, she was somewhere else using it, and I was in a different location, and then she was using it in another location. I looked over those. I never got those papers because they were being mailed here, or I'm sorry, they're being mailed to the bar because that was our address at first. So I wasn't getting that mail, and they wouldn't let me change the address to the restaurant. I mean, to change my address from the restaurant because we had a PO box, and she changed the PO box like code and everything. Bullshit. So, and then when I went to go try to forward it, they said they can't forward it from the business. It just doesn't work the other way. And if anything comes in, we'll just put it in your mailbox anyways. So, that was that situation. Come to find out, the hotel room had been bought for extra day, or extra like 2 days, something like that. And I know the boys make a mess and all that other shit, and it was pretty wild. I mean, I have pictures of the whole time. I keep close documentation and everything, but there's a lot of it that's gone missing over the years. A lot of my everything I own has been stolen and taken from me, everything. I mean, everything. So I didn't think anything of it at the time. I didn't realize this until then, you know. But um, basically, got the boys back, and she was gone for a while after that too, and then came back finally. Um, and this was probably around, I would say, Sept- November-ish, November-ish. I would think, um, and Christmas went by. We did Christmas together. I have that on film. Um, I was still back and forth from the camper that I was renting, which is a whole nother story. Um, and I'll get into that too eventually. But it gets down to this is when I asked, I was like, well, we are trying to work things out, right? She's like, oh, absolutely not. I'm like, oh man, shot to the heart. That's like, so you got me again. And it was bad. And then I had been asked by a friend to go out to Florida, Jacksonville, to help out with a restaurant there. And I was going to visit some family that had retired out there. And I think it was probably good timing. So what I did was I made arrangements. I talked about it back and forth, and she talked about it. She didn't really care. She didn't give a shit. Still doesn't give a shit about anything. But it got to the point to where I decided to go, and she kept pushing me to go, 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 go. So I was like, okay. And then she bought the ticket, right? She bought the ticket for me. But I was like, okay, and I was like, oh, can we change it? And then she was like, dead set on no, it can't be changed. It can't be changed. It was like, because I had prior arrangements that I had to take care of a few things before I left, and she was just like, go, go, go. So I went. This was like January, right after, I think, right before the first, is right around the 31st of December or something. I have the ticket details, but I the night before we left to go out there to drop me off, we she came back. She wasn't feeling good. There was something wrong with her, but she was really hurt. There was something going on with her. I don't know what exactly the deal was. You know, honestly, I really don't know. I remember she couldn't sit down, and she was hurting and stuff like that. You know, she was in pain, and I didn't get it really, but whatever. I didn't ask. She told me some lie, but I guess what's her face Ty had taken her to the hospital or something like that. I wasn't asking questions. I was making sure she was all right. I mean, she'd just gotten back into town, and then we were to leave right after that. So we left. I drove most of the way. And then we stayed at a hotel. So she got the hotel room. Come to find out later, it was bought on my account, but she paid for it. She said, "I don't know. I don't know how that works, but it did. I have the paperwork for it, and I know I did pay for it. You know." So we stayed there that night, and again, the next morning I was going to go, and it took me a lot to leave for a little bit, and I just wanted to do something different for a little bit. I wasn't leaving my kids. That wasn't the case. But right before I got on the plane, I wasn't feeling well at all. I was not feeling well, and as every time I was around her, I wasn't feeling well. After we had separated, there was just something off about what was going on with me, and how advanced my liver uh, cirrhosis had gone. Okay, is that 13 minutes going to shut off here? I'm going to start over real quick. Okay, so we're starting again. Um, yeah, I was advanced in my liver cirrhosis, and come to find out, like, as soon as we met, this started happening with me. You know, I didn't drink. I didn't drink as much as she did. You know, I mean, and I had to catch up. I was drinking a lot. I was drinking a lot. It was a lot. Not gonna lie, it was a lot. But I noticed sometimes that I felt different, and I don't know exactly what was going on, but I mean, later on, I had suspected that she was poisoning me, and I don't doubt it. I still don't doubt it. I still think she has been, too. Um, I do. I mean, she wants me dead for some reason, and that's like her revenge, somehow, on something that I didn't. I mean, I didn't do nothing other than tell her the truth. I was dead ass with her. I'm like, look, that's not how life works, Shannon. People don't like you and I'm gonna be honest with you, because you're mean. My son told her the same thing the night that, he chose to live with me, and because that happened, other things happened. But I'll get into that too, and that's a shame. Really, it's a shame. And I know she had something to do with it too. There's no way she didn't. I mean, the documentation's there. That's the picture it paints. I go with my gut instinct. I know what she's capable of more than anybody. Um, and I haven't talked about she. I haven't done this. I just want to make sure that it's out there, and I'm getting my shit straight, and I'm talking. And you know, I get to Florida. I didn't want to be there as soon as I got there, and I was not feeling well at all. I was The edema in my legs was getting worse. My kidneys were malfunctioning. I wasn't gonna go to the hospital, and I really couldn't go to the hospital. It was an emergency situation because, I should have flown anyways. The plane altitude probably should have killed me. I think that's what she was thinking. I mean, that's the type of shit she does. I'm not kidding. She used my kids as pawns. She's gonna use her own kids as pawns. What kind of mother says that? And then brings the other guys around their kids, hasn't called them dad and shit. You know how it made me feel? Yeah, it made me feel like shit then. But I still don't. I mean, it's still fucked up. But I'm over it. Like, I've moved past that. I'm building. I'm beyond that situation because I'm so much better than that. Um, I worked there. I was there for a little bit. I helped out, and then I just, sitting there, and I got a phone call. And I was making sure I was talking to Tex, like every, I don't know, but we were talking every night, and I was talking to the boys every night. And I don't know what she's doing, what she was trying to do, whatever. But she called me one day and then told me that she, well, I got to tell you something. I was like, what? What's going on? She's like, well, you know, like right before you left, a couple of days before you left or whatever, I was raped. I'm like, you were what? She was like, yeah, I was raped at the Salmon Harbor Landing Motel and held at gunpoint. I was raped with a gun and sodomized, and I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. That's like, and my heart sunk. Like, even then, at that point in time, like, I should have been, but I'm honest, caring person. Like, I care about others, and that's what the difference is between her and I. I have a heart. Like, I've always had a heart. I usually put people before myself, and that's the honest truth. Like, if you're not eating and I am, you're eating. That's always how it's been. I feel the like the depth of people's souls and how they could be feeling at that moment, and it makes me cry. Like, I look at my kids, and to know what they've been through, and that I wasn't there, protect them from it. Although I was trying to be there, I was trying to get there. Well, anyways, I started drinking again. I think she knew that would happen, and she knew it would hurt me. And the fact of the matter is I, without telling her anything like that or saying anything to anybody really, I left. I went to go stay at a friend's house, and that was a strange situation too because ew, some stuff. I found out some stuff later that um, the bar was owned by some other businesses that were close by to where my old bar was, and I was kind of shocked about that. I was like, "Wow, that's weird. It's all that. It's a lot of companies, the same name, and everybody's really confused." And I talked to my friend Izzy, and I told her I was going to come back, and she told me I should come back, and I paid for a plane ticket, and I flew back. And during that flight, I was so sick. I was so sick by the time I got off the plane that I mean they almost didn't let me board at that time. And I'm like, I made it. You know, I got into Eugene, and it took Izzy some time to get there for me. I was laying on the bench, and she pulled up, and she was just so happy to see me, and I was just happy to see her because she's a familiar face, and she'd always been really nice to me, you know. But yeah, I told her what was going on in the situation, and she knew I was sick, and she wanted to take care of me, make sure I was okay. She wanted to make sure I was okay. She didn't want me to leave her sight, and I was my kidneys were malfunctioning, um, and there was something very wrong with my kidneys, and I went to the hospital. And then I was put on dialysis, and it was just like a lot to deal with. And then there's a whole other story with Izzy in the bookstore that I'll get to later. But I finally got a hold of my I got a hold of Shanton, and I told her, I was like, "Hey, how's it going?" Uh, she's like, "Hey, how are you?" Acting all bubbly like she usually does. She puts on a game face. I mean, she's stone cold. Um, I'm giving her credit for it. Um, so I told her I was back, and she was in shock and awe. Like she was like, "Well, what? Well, what? So what made you come back? And you could tell me." And oh my, what? Yeah, I wasn't gone for a whole month. I wasn't even gone for a month. I was gone for like 3 weeks, barely, and I came back. And she wasn't. I don't think she was expecting me to come back, which that's how she said it. I don't hear her shook very often. You know, I don't hear her very shook. She doesn't get shook like that. You know, I barely ever saw her. She only ever cries when it comes to herself. That's it. When it comes to herself, that's the bottom line. Um, and I was like, I told her, I came back because I'm like messed up, like, and because of that situation, what you told me about. And she's like, okay, well, you know, da da da. Come to find out, during the process of that 3 weeks, she moved. She moved to Primeville with the kids. She took them there and without permission from the courts and left. Um, she said, "Oh, she'll be right back." She made it like it wasn't a move, but she had a new location, new address, new a whole bunch of stuff. And at some point, she had taken the kids to Washington. She was in Vancouver with them, and I don't even know how that was a thing or when during the process of all this. So I finally figured out that she wasn't going to be coming back like as frequently, and I'm like just waiting to see my kids, and I can't. All I want to do is see my kids, you know. And that was just like the hardest thing to deal with, like the fact that they were gone. I couldn't even go back to my camper. I was so depressed and so just broken, you know, and sick. I got in COVID again during the process of it, and skipped that, and I finally went back to the camper and got my dogs. They were in bad shape. That I'd only been gone for I wasn't gone that long, and both the dogs were emaciated. I don't even. It's like they didn't eat at all, and I was in shock. I was really mad, and all my stuff had been gone through. You know, at that point in time, right before I had left, I had gotten a sidearm from Pawn Exchange, and my friend went out and shot it without my permission. Used my ammo. Used like $100 worth of my ammo. I hadn't even shot the gun yet. I was too afraid to. Um, you know, and it's my first gun. I don't really believe in guns. I never believed in guns at all. And you know, I went and picked that up. He even wore my shoes, my brand new shoes, out in the woods and shit. Like I know his feet didn't fit him. They didn't. I know they didn't, and that was weird. And that was confused the shit out of me too. And I found out later that uh, one of my previous employers was in and out of my camper, and he like looked at me, and people had called me, you know, called me him or called me by his name and all this other shit. Made it look like I looked like him or whatever. And that brings up another situation about how my phones got taken advantage of. Back when I lived at the house, probably about a month before I had moved out, my son's phone, which is the phone that I had paid off, was stolen. Actually, he lost it, and it couldn't have went far, you know. So the only person that and I knew who had done it. It was our neighbor's son, Jace, and the, turned the phone off right away. Knew exactly what to do. Phone was gone. I didn't know how to approach the situation. I had reported the phone stolen, and that was that. And then if it had come up later, it would have been that it would have been his deal. But I'm at another 13 minutes. I'm getting long. Sorry, guys. But this is it's a good one. Oh, stop moving. So that's how it happened. I didn't know a lot of things about phones at this point in time. Bluetooth technology was coming in. You know, facial recognition. There's a lot going on with that then, too, which I'm not going to get into, but it has to do with that too as well. And when I look at my photographs and stuff like that, you can see continuity and stuff that would change dates it would confuse the algorithm to the point to where it's like, well, this has to be this date, and who's to say it's not, you know? Because the system's boss, the system's key, and if the system says that that's this date, because those clothes in this picture or this deal had to have been at this time. Okay, so it does a lot, and AI does a lot, and that's scary too. So I got back to my camper after the debacle at the bookstore, and I started selling what I could online. Um, Started getting rid of stuff as much as I could. Um, and I was making a decent amount of money, just enough to pay my bills. And I was back in the camper again, and it was trashed. I mean, it was trash by the time I got back, and it was gross. And I don't understand how somebody could let something get that bad that fast. But Ben was gross. I mean, it was bad. At this point, Aiden had, Shanton and Rose had teamed up and forced their hand on getting Aiden back to Las Vegas, and I was like, that's okay. It's probably time. I'd had him for 4.5, almost 5 years, and it was time for him to go back with his mom for a little bit. And I agreed to it, but something happened in the middle of all that, and I really don't know exactly what it was, but something happened to my kid during the process of that. Okay. And I can get into that too, but it's personal stuff that I have no problem talking about, but I went off the deep end. I was still waiting for my kids. I was sick. My ex had been making it like she was, you know, she made it like I was a monster. I was like this terrible person. I had never put a hand. I First off, I hadn't gotten into like my first real fight until like a year ago. Honestly, that was like a fight, you know. And I don't like confrontation. I really don't. Like I even have a hard time looking at people in the face. That's why I wear a hoodie. That's why I wore glasses all the time. So I legs are swollen as shit. I wasn't taking care of myself, and I wasn't able to see my kids. And before that, during the process of it, while I was waiting for my kids, I was needed. My grandfather was really sick, and I had made arrangements to go out there and be with him. And he was really worried about me, and she's really worried. They were both worried. My grandmother too. She was worried. And I was planning to go out there to visit Pennsylvania, help with my grandfather, and because if I wasn't seeing my kids, then what am I doing? I talked to my grandfather the last time I had talked to him. This is the last time I had talked to him. And he said, "No, Aunt, these kids are important." And that day she had told me that, yeah, we're gonna be there. We're gonna be there tomorrow. We'll be there for Easter. I think is right around what it was, or right after Easter or for something, whatever. This is May. My grandfather passed away in May, but yeah, he passed away that week. I didn't find out until weeks later. But I honestly don't even remember the last thing I don't remember the last thing I said. There was a lot of chaos going on then. I had been accused of setting up a camera in the house here, and I didn't. It wasn't. I didn't do that. That was the thing, and I didn't. So all the passwords had gotten changed to everything, and then she left. I guess the cameras up and running in the restaurant, which belonged to me. I pay for them. I bought them. It was out of my money. She had all the time in the world to change them, do whatever she wanted. change it. At this point in time, my car had been tampered with and vandalized by her goons, or whoever at the time, and it was that was bad. And then I had been in my truck before that, and then my truck malfunctioned and the transmission went kaput. Something happened to it. It was all like all at once. My truck was parked for quite some time, and then it happened to just start right up again. I could drive it in a certain gear, and I was like, okay. I'd gotten gotten an eviction letter from the park. Um, I had a confrontation with somebody, and I wasn't leaving my camper because I was like, my phones were being all screwed with at the time, and everything that was going on. It was almost the camper while I was gone was set up differently. I was finding stuff that shouldn't have been there, shouldn't have been around, shouldn't have been in the camper. That definitely wasn't there before. Okay, and this is right around when I was doing research, and then I stumbled upon a case of hers, and that happened in Las Vegas, and it had to have been a typo. I was like, it has to be a typo because it showed up on her deal. But back in April, it was like April 2010, something like that. She was a minor at the time. She had gotten a minor in consumption, driving with an accident, and I remember her telling me a story about it. I didn't know it was a DUI, another DUI, because she was fighting off another one at the time. But every single one of her problems, she always has to put on to somebody else, every single time. The fact of the matter is it shows in the crime section of the where she had gotten all the charges and stuff like that, and you could tell how prolonged it was, how prolonged the actual court dates were. It gave her time to figure out an excuse. So the story she told me was she'd gotten pulled over and she was drunk, and she had gotten out of it by saying her boyfriend had just broken up with her, and she was being chased by him or something, and we weren't even a thing then. And I started thinking, I'm like, okay, well, weird. And then things started to add up very strangely, and what it came down to is during the process of getting phone calls, phone calls were being manipulated, for sure. Like, without a doubt, being manipulated. And yeah, I'm sure she had, I don't know, at some point she was recording me somewhere, somehow. I mean, she knew everything I had been doing, like everything I'd said, everything I'd done before I was doing it, and on the other end, she was making it like I was doing that, and that she was making messages get to me and stuff like that through other people. And so it goes on with the beginning of where I came to the conclusion that Shannon and her father were out to get me, because I had something, or I held the key to something. They obviously wanted me to be gone. I still feel that way, even to this day, and I'm pretty sure that that's the case. What it said back then in the paperwork on her background check was rape, strong arm, weapon, sodomy. I'm like, what the fuck? That sounds so fucking familiar. I just don't understand where that could have, like, what is that? Why is that there? Why is it there on that paper? And I had it pulled up on the TV. Like, that's there. That's exactly what she had said happened to her that July. I'm like, I mean, that January, that previous January that when I was gone. I'm like, wait a second. And then I've been doing taking notes and stuff like that, you know. And I'm like, ah. So what it was being made to look like, and I mean, to a T, I had everything written down to the exact. I mean, there's no way that I was off on it. I mean, the details and the stuff that I was finding in the camper that shouldn't have been there. I was finding SIM cards. I was, you know, I was finding like people's clothes that shouldn't have been there. You know, and things were just adding up very strangely. Come to find out, Joe was in my apartment, my spot, turning the breaker on and off and shit. But whatever. I was like, I was freaked out because I mean she could have done whatever she wanted, and they believe women over men all the time. You know, they just do. It's just what they do. They believe men. They believe women before men. They don't even get a chance because of how long she had been setting things up. I mean, I looked like a monster. I mean, I'd never had any run-ins with the police. I'd never been in any trouble in my life. And as soon as I walked out that door, all hell broke loose. I mean, it was like I was a cop magnet. I got another 10 minutes, 13. Let's start it. I mean, right from then, and what I can contribute it to from the start of it is I ruffled the wrong feathers. There's no way. I mean, I stepped on the wrong toes. During the process of all this, you know, everybody was dead set that I had put this camera in this house and all this shit like that. I was like, fuck, no. Yeah, it's in my fucking, I get it in my name, but how would I have access to the Wi-Fi? She had the Wi-Fi changed. I wasn't even, you know, it was so ridiculous that I thought it was, I laughed at it. And then that gets spread around, and then that was a rumor. And that wasn't the case at all. Okay? And by that point, I had no access to any internet here. I hadn't even been back to this house. So, that set things off. It gave an excuse, put her on edge, and then I had heard some other things. She was using people to come in and out of my situation to, you know, to incriminate me with stuff. Because I mean, you would have to really do that because I had never been in the back of a police car up until that point. And a part of it is I put a call. I mean, I challenged Douglas County, and I was like, "What the?" I was talking about the docks. I didn't know what I was doing. I had just gotten there. You know, I was pissed off. Our business wasn't doing very good, and I said some things that I probably shouldn't have. I didn't know. I stuck my neck out. It was just something that was bothering a lot of people, and I brought it up. And because I brought it up and put a stank on it, Chris Boyce, the commissioner of Douglas County, came after me, and I belittled him like a freaking, you know, whatever. But at that point in time, he was on my turf because he was commenting on my Facebook page, which had like 2,000 plus members at the time, which I mean does a lot. That's a whole nother story. You know, I said some things, but you know what? I was pissed off and I didn't give a shit. It was like a year later after I'd posted this video that it had come up in conversation that I had done it. And at that point in time, I thought about it, I'm like, shit. Maybe that's where all this spins off at. Fuck. Well, that's probably where all this starts, honestly. because at that point in time, my life has been fucking turmoil. And you know what? I'm a tough motherfucker. I'll keep it. They can keep doing what they're doing. I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna abandon my kids. I'm not gonna leave my kids with somebody that's gonna put them in situations to where the situation they've been in. And I'll go down the line. So, here, I'll show you. Oh, this is paperwork here, and I'm gonna zoom back in and go back to one. Okay. So we're at 3 minutes on this. Okay. So. Okay. Where are the other papers at? I'll find them here in a second. Oh man, my neck is killing me. Okay, where are we at? Where are we at? Okay, so it's gotta be here. So this is all the times from the time I had left the house. Okay, so whatever the fuck that was. Fuck it, I don't care. Here. So I get close up. That look, each one of those segments. Look, each one of those segments. Each one of those segments right there. These are all times that I've been harassed by the police. Each and every one of them since I left this house. Okay. That one. There's another one. That's a lot. I mean, there's still more too. I mean, there's more down here you can't really see. But there's more writing down here with different pen. My disability papers are here stating that I'm disabled. And that's a lot. I'll go to this here. These are all the citations that are driving while suspended. I was driving while suspended. I was staying close to the hospital because of how sick I was. And my liver was failing and I was getting sick because I was living in my car. And because I was living in my car, I was being judged. And everything I did, everywhere I went, that's where the police were. And they followed me around like flies on shit. Everywhere I went, that's where they were. They pulled me over. They knew exactly where I was and what I was doing. Okay, so there's one. These are all citations of driving while suspended or driving without registration. When the first time that I got pulled over, I was completely legal. And I just I couldn't find my registration soon enough. And that's where the original suspension came from. So that and the bookstore deal, which I could, there's a little bit about that online still, and I really don't care about it. There's a lot to this. There's a lot. Now to this point right now, I'm back in the house. She moved back into town. Prior to this, she was working with the police in order to set up a visit. So she put a restraining order on me for no reason. I didn't even talk to her, seen her, and I didn't want to be around her. That was the point. I didn't want to see her. I just wanted to see my kids. It's about the kids. That's it. I didn't care about her. She brought new boyfriend, the guy who was the Manny, watching the kids, which she was lying to me about then. And then they were calling him dad. So I didn't have a chance. I didn't even have a chance. She took them away for 2 years, and I was fighting to get back to him. I didn't have the money. I couldn't work. My disability stopped me from being able to get, I filed for disability. I'm 3 years in on disability. And my future's bleak. I'm now diabetic, insulin dependent, and it's scary. And I'm still fighting, and I'm still here, But this part, and I'll probably skip to it on the next segment, and I'll read these off if you guys want. But I'm gonna file this stuff, and get I got my ducks in a line. I mean, they're just gonna keep coming after me no matter what. I can't go anywhere. They impounded all 3 of my cars. 4 now. They got what they wanted out of that. They had devices in that tracking that. I had found them. During the process of all this, I was still being screwed with, and I'm not sure how it all panned out that way, but she had gotten so she got in her DUI and gotten out of her DUI. I don't fucking know how she got out of her DUI. I don't know. I have no idea. But she just got a probation violation, and she was picked up by the police at 3 o'clock in the morning after dropping her phone on an SOS call. And she's been a zombie. She has literally gotten to the point to where our kids do whatever they want. By the time I was back full time in their life and trying to get them back in here, she had accused me of touching our kids, and of course that never fucking happened. First off, they've been gone for 2 years. Okay, on top of that, I had seen them once during that time and twice maybe when they came back, and she still kept them from me. She didn't give a shit. She brought another man into their lives. That hurt. And then he was harassing me on the side of that. I had text messages from him, all kinds of shit. And him and I got to get my first fight here. I mean, he came over, steamed over to the house, started yelling at me, saying all kinds of shit. She had called me in advance, and I was just trying to be nice. I'm forgiving. I don't care. My kids are the most important thing to me. That's all I have left in this life. I wouldn't be sitting here freaking whining. I wouldn't be sitting here filming if that wasn't the case. If she wanted to go around and tell everybody that I had touched our kids, then she should have filed a report then. And I'd have fought it and knocked it off like it was nothing. But now it's gotten to the point to where here we are. I get to this house. We're talking almost 5 years later. Okay. She burnt that. Her house caught on fire in Prineville. Okay, said it was started at the dryer or whatever like that. Come to find out, it was a candle. I talked to the fire chief in person. I have his card right over here, my pamphlet over here, and he gave me the details on that. Come to find out, she had 3 prior child neglect and child endangerment situations where she left our kids in a cold car. And I went out to Prineville and drove out there and spoke to them. They looked at me. They didn't contact me. I had to contact them because I found out just by stumbling upon it online. That caused a lot. I mean, I couldn't take on the kids all by myself, no matter what the case was. But if I had to, I would, no problem. I'd figure something out. I always make do. My people are still coming after me, back and forth, and she was trying to make me look like the devil. I'm a God-fearing man. I wear Jesus every day. Okay, I wear Jesus every day. I'm a God-fearing person. Okay. Now, from what I've gathered at this point in time, I've always been a skeptic, and the skepticism is my middle child, Atlas. He's not mine, probably. I never cared to look into it, but I knew from the time that had happened that he was not mine. I have an assumption on who it is, and the type of ongoing polygamy in her family, incestual relations, and keeping a bloodline stable. She's got all the traits anyways, no matter what the case is. I'm not sure what her deal is. What's wrong with her? All I know is I don't know. I've heard a couple things, stuff she's covering up, being sick and shit like that. But she ain't the same sick as me. Um, Bottom line is, when I got here, I was in the process of losing my apartment, and I was spending as much time with the kids as I could. And she looked sick. She didn't look good. She was put on um, a lot of weight at one point. And I don't know what happened. She must have been just one place. I mean, she was huge. She must have been huge. Um, I started having my kids as much as possible. It was like, it was great. I got to have them on my birthday, and I was all good, and I was having fun. Here I'm gonna start this again. So, of course, my dumbass. I don't trust her ever. I mean, she'd been setting me up, even prior to that, making doing weird text messages, after Christmas, saying to be somewhere, and then shit would happen. Like, every time I left a situation from seeing the kids, I was approached by the police again. I actually forgot one that I had to put in there to come to find out. Um, but I think they're trying to correct a mistake that they made. Um, and then I was accused of burglary, which, I mean, I wasn't even in the area at the time. I was in the hospital getting surgery when that had happened. Um, and, you know, or, you know, during the time, I mean, I was in the hospital for almost 2 months, and somehow I had the time to burglarize my address, which is another thing that I'll get into later. It's just scary. I've been through a lot of stuff. Um, I got on a track of trying to help people that I thought were in need of help. I had studied a lot of, um, I've been studying a lot of real estate law and stuff like that, and trying to get people out of the situations that they were getting themselves into. Um, and then I started noticing anomalies to what had been happening to me during the process of it, and I could almost map out what was going to happen to these people, and they were getting evicted for. I mean, there's so many illegal things the landlords were doing at the time. Even to me, the same landlords, multiple times. Um, I have I have some stuff on film. Like, after I got into a fight with Levi, I lost my apartment, and that was a big deal because he not only came over to assault me and thought he was going to assault me, he assaulted my neighbor, my 80-year-old neighbor, who happens to be one of my really good friends. Um, uh, it was a lot of stuff happened. There's still a bunch of stuff in between, but I was barking up the wrong tree, and I still felt, no matter what the case was, no matter what it ended up being, even though I thought that I was helping, I wasn't, I guess. And then a picture got painted of me, and then that's when the police started realizing that why is he at these places when this stuff's happening? Why is this, and obviously I was documenting everything then too. But people are getting evicted. The landlords were using false eviction papers, using fake lawyers, and scaring these people out of their homes, which they would rent out to people who are they know aren't going to be able to pay for the place, and it's a lease that you wouldn't sign in a million years, and then know that they would wreck the apartment, and then collect on that, and then not only collect on that, but collect on the money that the rent and shit like that, even though they were paying or behind. There was no help for them. But that's a whole nother story. It happened more than a couple times, and I met a lot of good people on the way. My journey there, and I have a lot of it documented and written down. But at this point in time, here I am. I would get back to the house, And we kind of just laid all on the plate and stuff like that. And I'm like, no, I wasn't doing that. You guys were doing. I thought you guys were doing that to me, but she was just trying to get, trying to break some, barriers down. Um, I had found out that she had been doing large quantities of nitrous. I mean, more nitrous than I had ever. I mean, it's a lot. I mean, I have pictures of these nitrous bottles, and I didn't know it was a thing. I like, who does that? It just popped out of nowhere, and then you know, um, I was all of a sudden she was just in bed sucking on these nitrous bottles, and the house was a disaster. And she had somebody here taking care of her, and or looking after things and trying to cover stuff up. But when I had done a once through in this house and gotten here, not only was everything that I had left here, I mean, still here. I mean, shit I hadn't seen in years. Shit that I had bought in years ago that I still had receipts for. And I still don't know, like, how that's a thing. Like, I can't believe some of the shit that's still here. That's just back in this situation. I can't. The garage, all the same stuff in the garage. Um, Something strange. I couldn't figure out what was going on. I didn't know where. I knew that her boyfriend had left during that time. It was a struggle. And I don't blame him at all. Like, she basically tried replacing him with me. I mean, tried replacing me with him at the restaurant, and he made a point to show me that. The guy working at the restaurant that I built. I mean, finally he met me, and he's like, "Yep, I'm real." And it's, so a lot of stuff going on. I mean, he was stalking me. They were listening in to me. I don't know how deep it goes, but whatever the situation is, it goes beyond that. It's like a type of stalking that they talked about. And my blood sugar's getting low, but I'll get to the point to where my kids are running amok. My son Atlas was getting bad at school. He was threatening teachers and all this other stuff, and he's autistic. They didn't have the amount of staff to take care of him. Is what the deal was. they just didn't. And where he was getting this stuff from, I don't know. But when I walked into this house and saw some of the stuff and the feeling that I felt when I was here, the devil was in this house. The devil was in this house, and something was wrong with Shannon for sure. It wasn't Shannon anymore. I'm not sure what it is or what it was, but I'd heard a lot of stuff about what had happened to Levi and what was going on with him. I mean, at one point, I guess he was paralyzed or whatever, and some other stuff. And I guess he was getting temporary disability. But I don't know exactly. I mean, I kind of, and I felt bad for him because I knew what he was going through. Because my kids are, they've been allowed to do whatever they wanted. I mean, he must have been running himself ragged, and I feel terrible because I made his life more difficult, I guess. And I didn't really have to, because all I did was kill everybody with kindness. I didn't show any. I wasn't being aggressive. I was glad I wasn't with her. I felt bad for him, but when I got here, I mean, I didn't know much of what happened, where he went. I guess I had heard. She told me she went to Portland. He went to Portland. She was having issues with encephalopathy as I was, but I'd been taking care of myself differently. I was on a different diet. It was like not eating as much, and then eating cheap food. During that time, I got diabetes, and that was scary. So I'll leave off at the part right now. I'm about 9 minutes in. Been doing this for a while now, talking. And there's a lot of stuff far in between, but I'll get to the point to where she had gotten herself so whacked with the nitrous that there was no way I could leave my kids here with her. I just couldn't. I bring myself to do it, and I didn't want to be like her and turn her in on that, because the stuff that she was saying during that process and the stuff that she had admitted to and said she had done or was doing basically is everything that I thought. And I've been protecting myself. I always protect myself. I make sure that I'm doing the right thing. I wake up in the morning, I put one foot in front of the other, and I go, usually. But I stayed because my kids, I knew it was a bad decision to stay here. But I wanted to make sure my kids were okay. I had to. And I've had such a good time with them. I saw exactly how this was going to pan out and how it is panning out. And it's a harsh reality to know that, because I care more about my kids than myself and spending time with them, at least I showed them a little bit of what I'm about. And I taught them some things if anything does happen to me. And this isn't a joke. I'm not sitting here. I've been living this shit. Some of the shit that I to tell you, you freaking jump out of your chair. I can't explain it. But I will say that God's good for keeping me alive this long. You don't want me yet. I'm still here. I know that I haven't done anything wrong. But with the amount of stuff and the amount of time and effort that's gone into this, maybe not much effort at all. Who knows? But it's not good. It's not. And it wasn't good from the very beginning. Trying to pick up the pieces from here and just stay steady. I got to make a couple of text messages. But I'll finish. Finish what I can. All right. So, I'm trying not to be upset right now. I'm trying to keep my shit together. Again, I'm pretty strong. I can do it, I know. I don't know what to do. I'm not sure where I left off the last time I was talking. Just not sure. I've been here alone at the house for the last 3 days. This will be the third, I guess. After the 6th, So I'm not sure if I got to yet, but after the 6th and everything that went on that night, we had a CPS interview the following day, or on the 9th. So it was it on the 9th? On the 8th. It was on the 8th. And we went and met them at the bowling alley. Or met the CPS person there, and she talked to Shannon for a while. It's like they knew each other, though. It was kind of weird. It was kind of freaked me out a little bit, and I'm it startled me that they connected in a strange way, And I'm good at social cues like that, where I notice things like that, because I don't make those connections like that. But the CPS lady, she gave us a ride back to the house, and Shannon's telling me that sorry, I'm trying, really trying. I'm really worried. And she wants me to be if she's messing with me right now. She's good at it, but it's okay. I need to grow a pair of balls. It really should have, no matter what the case was, I should have put my foot down, but she has so much leverage. And I don't want any problems, because every time there's some type of issue, she starts screaming and yelling like something, like I'm attacking her or something. Yeah, I never do that. I can't stop thinking about my kids. Again. This shit. But I saw this happen, and I've been telling her that I knew what was going on. I'm not gonna leave these kids alone with you. I'm not gonna leave these kids alone with you. You gotta be crazy. Are you nuts? I can't believe CPS let you have the kids back. They didn't even call me, let me know what's happening to them. And then my other son, that's another same shit. Same shit. And everybody points a finger at me. I ain't do nothing wrong. I ain't do nothing to nobody. I just honestly, I only want to be with my kids. That's it. I only just want to be with them. That's not hard. I can't find a lawyer, couldn't find an attorney out here to help me. I'm sick and I'm dying. Hospitals are giving me a hard time about being around, kicking me out and shit. I don't know why. I'm so sick. I don't care about nothing. I don't care about I don't care about nothing. I don't care about nothing other than my kids. I told her that. I told her I don't give a damn about you. There's something wrong with her this whole time. I know there was something wrong with her this whole time. There's something going on. And the times that she was having these tripping out, she'd just like snap out of it and be fine. Whenever somebody show up, she'd be fine. Everything was good. Just scared I couldn't leave my kids with her. I couldn't, but I couldn't. I couldn't call on her. I don't have it in me to do that. I just don't. Because it always turns around and bites me in my ass anytime I make a decision that's best for my kids or me. But when we got back, she started telling me she was gonna go to a hotel with the boys and hang out with Patty and Linda and Ty, whatever. And she everything was fine. But then she told me that she told me that the CPS agent was there or something like that. She was outside on the phone with her. And all the stuff that was going on and everything was happening. That interview was weird. And she went straight for demographics right off the bat, asking me if I was Indian right off the bat. I'm like, what? What does that have to do with anything? And Shant was sitting so close to the conversation. I didn't want to badmouth. I just couldn't do it. Because I'm better than that. Now I think my kids are in danger. I think they're really in danger this time. I'm so scared. They were before, and I knew it, and it's in my... I don't know what to do. I can't call the police because they've been harassing me since I freaking left this house. So I'm stuck in here. Every time I leave, they follow me around or arrest me. Something stupid that they make up. It's the truth. It's bullshit. Fucking impounded my car. All my cars. I know why, but I don't understand why. Like, some evil shit out there. I just want my kids. I need to see them. It's supposed to be my time tomorrow to have them. I'm going to file whatever I got to file. But I'm afraid that if I start up ruckus, it's just going to be bad on me. It's going to backfire. But I also need to get out of here. And I know it. I know I need to get out of here, but I need to see my kids. I need to know they're okay. I need to know they're all right. She wouldn't let me talk to them the other day. I'm like, what the fuck is your problem? It didn't seem like her, though. It didn't seem like her. And then she'd been in and out of all this shit. Just in and out, in and out. Nobody fucking gave a shit. Nobody cared. Nobody fucking gave a shit. She was doing all those fucking whippets. She did enough nitrous to kill somebody. I ain't seen her. I talked to her once. She wouldn't let me talk to the kids. She wouldn't let me talk about the kids. Again. She knew that hurt me. But I don't think it's her. I don't know if it's her or not. I don't know if it's her or not. I don't, because something's wrong. I knew something was wrong right off the bat. I told her something was wrong. Something's wrong. I have directions to look, but I don't want to call the police. I don't, because it makes me nervous. Because if I go to jail, I can't find my kids. I'm gonna be done. They ain't gonna. I'll die in there. I'll die in there trying to. I'm like, I'll die. I don't care. If I die, I just want to know my kids are okay. My heart. I'm trying. God, please. Please, God, let them be okay. Please, God, let them be okay. I don't know what she's capable of, but I think I do know. I don't know. I don't want to believe it, but I don't know. It all looks bad. I've freaking been... My gut instinct is always on, and there's something wrong. If I cause a stink, then it draws attention. Nobody's getting back to me. I didn't even hear my kids in the background when I was talking to her on the phone. If I start searching and start trying to, then it looks bad. So I don't know what to do. I just want my kids. It was all leading up to this. I knew it. I knew it and I couldn't stop it. And I couldn't stop it. Nobody believed me. Nobody's believed me at all. Everybody thinks I'm fucking crazy. I ain't crazy. I've been saying this shit for fucking years. Nobody fucking listened to me. Nobody fucking cares. Nobody fucking cares. I ain't never done nothing wrong to nobody. And I feel bad about it. I ain't never hurt nobody. I ain't never killed nobody. I ain't never put my hands on anybody on purpose. God damn it. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I'm gonna go keep trying to call and keep trying to get a hold of my lawyer or my whoever. I tried texting her dad. She didn't message me back yet. I tried messaging the CPS agent. She ain't messaged me back yet either. I told them all that she was crazy. She's crazy. She had just had a letter. And I was not going to send them the video because they freaking... I didn't want them to take my kids away. Because that's all they do. That's all they do, take them anyways. I told her that. I can't. Fucking... I'm tired. But I'm not gonna stop. I can't sleep, I can't eat. God, please. Okay, I'm gonna try to gather my senses. I'm gonna try to make a judgment call. Paperwork filled out and sent out, but I